Welcome to Toastmasters Unplugged, episode 8. What has Toastmaster ever done for us? Or you can look at it different. What has Toastmasters ever done for you? Or what can Toastmasters do for you? But I suppose let's go to the very beginning and the question that you might be thinking if you're not a Toastmaster. What is Toastmaster? Well, actually, it's a place where you can make the very perfect toast. And there's a different brown on the left-hand side and the right-hand side is a little bit... Actually, well, Toastmaster really is a public speaking club and a leadership development society. And I think it was a guy, James Huber, said, the art of communication is actually the language of leadership. So the two are linked heavily together. Well, my name is Randy Akakite, and I am the current division director of the North of England. And I think there's about 20 different clubs, over 500 members. And I am thrilled today to be your host in this episode. What has Toastmaster ever done for us? And we have some really fantastic speakers that have really embodied the idea of Toastmasters. And they've moved your career from wherever it was before to great heights. And I am thrilled as the host this evening to learn about what has Toastmasters done for this panelists. These are, I call them, the exemplars in the field of public speaking and leadership. If you are joining us, please drop a note on the chat or where you're calling from, any questions that you might have that might pop into your head. Feel free to drop it on the chat. In the moment, I will bring up this fantastic Toastmasters for all of us to learn from. So, are we ready? Our very first guest will be Kate. And Kate will soon introduce herself, but I've got a 3 W's framework that I'm going to use today. And it's, who are you, Kate? What has Toastmasters done for you? And why are you still here?
Really? Well, thank you so much for the invitation, Randy. It's fantastic to be here. My name is Kate Trafford. I joined Toastmasters way back in, I think it was about 2011, maybe 2012. And I joined for the same reason that most people join, many people join, which was to overcome my nerves in public speaking, but that's not why I stayed. We'll perhaps talk about that a little bit later. In my work, I am a coach, a speaker now professionally, and the author of a book, Get There, Love Here, which is the busy professional's guide to authentic, enjoyable success. And so what has Toastmasters done for me? Well, it has contributed to all of those things, right? It helped me to overcome my nerves, to get acclimatized to being in the spotlight, if you like, being at the front of the room, whether that was prepared speeches or whether it was like the fun and games we have, like table topics. And so podcast interviews like this, one big long table topic, right? But it also helped me to get really clear on my body of work, because when you give speech after speech after speech, themes emerge. And that really cued me up to write what ended up in my book. And then the final thing about being a coach, I would say, is all of those speech evaluations, the way that we listen deeply in Toastmasters, and we evaluate and we analyze and we give feedback in a supportive, encouraging way. I really think that being in Toastmasters for so long has made me a better coach.
Wow, that's fantastic. Great. Goodness me, how Toastmaster took you from early beginnings to being a fantastic coach. If you should say the one reason why you joined, what would that be?
Well, it was originally it was to overcome nerves, and that might sound surprising. Anybody who knows me knows that I'd already been working as a trainer and facilitator for quite a good few years before I even joined Toastmasters, and I was very comfortable with that. I loved my work. But there was something kind of weird that happened whenever I went from like a workshop setting where it felt quite conversational and you got plenty of time to find your stride and get momentum and so on, into a situation where I had to give a speech.
Yes.
It all just kind of went horribly wrong. And I remember very, very distinctly my first ever Toastmasters meeting. I was invited as a guest to take part in table topics, which is, for any listeners who don't know, is this like little game we play of impromptu speaking, where you're just given a topic and expected to speak. And I remember two things about the feedback that I got at the end. The first bit of feedback I got was that breathing is a good idea. Remember to breathe. Right. And the second thing was that it would be a very good idea not to wear ladies' heels, right? Because I was shaking so much, I was wobbling, my legs were wobbling so much that the floaty skirt I was wearing looked like there was a stiff breeze from the side of the room. Right.
Wow.
That was my starting point in Toastmasters. And yet, this week I'm giving a speech on a stage in front of 200 people, and I cannot wait. And it's a journey. It's an incredible journey with like-minded people, an outstanding educational program, and just the most supportive environment you're ever going to find yourself in. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Wow. Going from getting that feedback of breathing. Sometimes it's easy, right? But you forget, and turning your life around to where you are today. That's just fantastic. In a minute, we're going to dive deeper into it. And I'm going to introduce some of the other guests, but that's just remarkable. Thanks.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Randy. See you soon.
Yes. Let's bring up Kyle Murta. Kyle, I'm going to ask you the same three questions. Who are you? What has Toastmaster ever done for you? And why are you still here?
I think I'll start by answering that last one. I'm still here because I want some of that bread that you were showing us earlier on. That looked like a hell of a loaf that you're packing. I am Kyle Mercer. I'm also a professional speaker, coach, author, all of these cool things. And why or what keeps me or makes me keep wanting to come to Toastmasters, or what got me into it? Well, you said the 3 W's. I'm going to hit you with the 3 C's. The first one being it gave me confidence being in Toastmasters. Having that place where you could be on stage, practice your skill set, get feedback, really helped grow my confidence as a speaker, which gave me the confidence to start a business, to start working with others on their own speaking journeys. The second C would be community. My club, Central Toastmasters in Glasgow, we've recently especially built a really strong group of people who love to spend time with each other, even outside of Toastmasters. On Friday, for example, I'm going to spend some time playing pool with a couple of the guys. And then thirdly, competitions. Anyone in the district probably knows I'm quite a ferocious competitor, and Toastmasters provides me with that place to compete.
When you said that last C there, just watching you just lit up. There was just a light in your eyes. So you are a strong competitor, and I'm just wondering, what will take you from back in the day to into Toastmaster to just loving to compete?
It kind of began with a mentor of mine, James McGinty. A lot of people actually will probably know James in the district. He is also quite an avid competitor. And I met James in a different organization, which was kind of focused on public speaking as well. And he said, Kyle, there's this place called Toastmasters. I think you'd really enjoy it. And the first thing I did when I went home was I Googled it. And what popped up on the screen was the World Championship of Public Speaking, the Toastmasters contest, the biggest contest in the world for public speaking. And I remember watching those speeches and being really inspired and thinking, this looks awesome. And I also thought, I can beat these guys. So that kind of drew me into it even more. And then when I got to the club, I realized, you know what? It's not just about competing. It's also about those other things as well. The community, building the confidence, and just having a place which is fun to go to on a Wednesday night. Because TV on a Wednesday night, Randy, is not the best thing in the world these days. Toastmasters certainly is better, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And for me, that is Monday. We do ours every Monday. And of course, that's a lot better than watching any series or MPL. Well, thank you, Kyle. We're going to come back to you in a minute and go deeper into this. Next up, we're going to bring Jessica. Hey, Jessica.
Hey.
Hi. I'm going to come back to you with those 3 questions as well, too, because I want to know, who are you, Jessica? What has Toastmasters ever done for you? And why are you still here?
Nobody, nothing, and don't know. Yeah, I've been a Toastmaster since I've been 16. When there was nothing to do in small town Canada except for get accidentally pregnant and drop out of high school. So I joined to save my life. And about 20 years later, ta-da, still not pregnant. High five. Yeah, I joined because there's nothing else to do in my hometown. And in Canada, they teach us how to public speak. And I won a couple awards already when I was just some loud, annoying kid. And I thought, what? I can actually maybe make this into a career, and I can do what I love and make people laugh and connect. Wow. So I'm a hardcore fan.
Wow. Goodness me. At 16, I don't think I've ever met anyone that joined Toastmasters at that young age. Because I was young when I was 16. I can't remember what I was doing. But to be able to have a structure like this,
yeah.
How important is that for you then, when you look back now?
Well, I remember that already as a kid, some people are naturally speakers. We're called extroverts, or we like to entertain. On the disc, we're not afraid to be the yellows that we are. And then with a little bit of training with Toastmasters, you can explode. Whereas Toastmasters also has the people that are on the green and the blue part of the disc, which are the people that don't want to be in the spotlight and they don't feel comfortable with people looking at them. And Toastmasters is equally full of really successful, charming, wonderful speakers that had to work a little bit harder because they didn't have the natural part, but already knew structure better than us do. So it's full of amazing humans that are both there trying to work on what their flaws are. So you go anywhere in the world. I went to the world's largest Toastmasters meeting in India, in Mumbai, 3-hour meeting, 6 speakers, 8 table topics. They give you a samosa halfway through because you're dying because it's too hot and too long. And, it's just full of opportunity to meet amazing people around the world. Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a global phenomenon. Thanks a lot, Jessica, for that. That's amazing. I'm going to get up our last panelist on, and then we're going to bring everybody back up and go deeper. Thanks, Jessica. Paul.
Yes, sir. Can you?
Paul, I'm going to come back to you with those 3 questions, Paul. Who are you? What has Toastmasters ever done for you? And why, after this years, you're still here?
Well, first and foremost, my name is Paul Donald Nkana. Within the realms of Toastmasters, I am the current District 71 champion. Outside of Toastmasters, I sell drugs, Shh, just don't tell anybody. I'm talking about legal drugs, okay? I'm not talking about, I don't know what you thought about, but I'm talking about legal drugs. So I'm a pharmacist outside of Toastmasters realms. And also, back in the days, I used to play semi-professional basketball, but that's neither here nor there. So what got me into Toastmasters? Well, the reason why I go into Toastmasters is because I wanted to find my voice, Randy. As a young man growing up in Russia, in a small town about 40,000 miles away from Moscow, I really struggled with confidence and I struggled to find myself and who I was. Yes, although I played basketball, and basketball did help me quite a lot to build myself up and find that confidence in myself, but it wasn't up until my Toastmasters journey, which I started back in March 2021, when I was able to truly find my voice. And ever since then, I've stuck with Toastmasters, not because, first and foremost, I want to become the world champion of public speaking. I need to claim that title. But then secondly, is because I want to be able to help others so that they can find their voice as well. Because I think at some point, Toastmasters becomes just beyond you. Well, it definitely has become beyond me. And now I'm looking to help others as well to see how they can find their voice and how they can progress within their personal or career journeys. So that's why I'm still in Toastmasters.
My goodness. Russia, close to Moscow, to finding your voice.
Yes,
you know, someone listening now might think, maybe we lose our voice. Do we lose our voice? How do you find it?
Are you asking me right now?
Yes. How do you find it?
Well, you have to go on www.toastmasters.com, get your membership, find a club. There's plenty of clubs. There's about 14,000 clubs all around the world. Just find your club. Find somebody who can mentor you, most importantly, because Toastmasters is a system that can give you that pump and that support to get you started. Find a mentor, very, very important. You need to find a mentor within Toastmasters system that can help you find your voice, and then just keep showing up. That's how you find your voice. Right?
Absolutely. Keep showing. I love that repetition, and just keep going there and developing yourself. We're just going to bring all our panelists back up after that fantastic introduction, and we're going to go into this. And for me, I love that idea that Paul has just gone into right now. The finding your voice. And I'm going to come to Kate. Come to Kate, because you talked about that very first day with those hills where you were a little bit wobbly with the hills, right? And you needed to breathe. I'm assuming that's finding your voice as well, too, though.
It is, and you know, as somebody who is, to use the model that Jessica was talking about, I'm more on the green. I'm actually on the boundary of yellow and green, but I'm more on the green, which is that, and I'm naturally an introverted personality, and that might come as a surprise to people listening in to say, you know, what you're speaking very publicly, you're putting your work out there, you're very visible, and so on. But as Jessica described so well, I had to acclimatize to that. All right. So now I still get the rush of adrenaline, but it just feels like pure excitement. There's no fear involved whatsoever. It's just like a feeling of being fully alive. Right. So that's what I would say about that side of the journey. But in terms of this idea of finding your voice, I think a big part of what we talk about in Toastmasters is that although there are lots of tools and techniques and ideas and frameworks and great stuff that can really, really help, at the end of the day, it's about you showing up as who you really are. Right? Giving yourself permission to be, as Jessica has, like the funny one, the entertainer, and so on. You know, Kyle, when Kyle speaks, I've seen him compete, and it's very compelling, and like can't take your eyes off him with this strong, clear message. I have not yet had the privilege of listening to Paul speak, but I look forward to that. I am hitting YouTube straight after this call to look up Paul. You know, it's like we're all different, and there's that journey through this idea that there's one right way of doing things, or this is what a good speaker looks like, to actually say, no, let's peel all of that away and say, who are you when you're at your brilliant best, and how can you get out of your own way as so that you can show up, really, really show up. And that's why there's such a range and breadth and blend and diversity of gorgeous humans who all come to Toastmasters with, you know, with that fundamental kind of sense of purpose of finding our voices and putting it out there, you know, for the benefit of others. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just touched a little bit deeper into that, Kate, the fact that you've got to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Because it sort of comes across that the voice is already there, but there's something holding it back. And we just need to step aside and let that true self come out.
Yeah. And for most of us, the nerves go the moment you realize it's not about you.
Yeah.
As soon as you're in service of your audience and you're connecting to your audience and you just really want to create an experience for them, then the nerves can disappear because it's no longer about you. It's about serving your audience. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking about being your true self, Jessica, being your true self, bunch of energy. I've seen a lot of your work on LinkedIn and a few places. You know, I'm assuming you had to step out to let that out, or?
No, it seeps out. Yeah. Now, you know, if I had a baby, I would have named it Toasty, because I swear this organization is the place that gave me like the dream that I never thought could be possible. Like, I didn't know that I could travel the world and do what I love, which very selfishly is trying to make people laugh and make people like themselves more. And I thought, oh, I'll just be a teacher to do that. And I was like, no, like if you get good enough in Toastmasters, if you get good enough with your confidence, as you were talking about, Kate, like if you level up and if you win like Kyle and Paul did, right? Now you have recognition, and Toastmasters really lifts you up and applauds everyone for being volunteers and winners and great hosts. So I don't know. It's like if you have anything to show, Toastmasters will suck it out of you and applaud for you until you are confident about it. It might take a couple of years, but keep going.
Yes. And I'm assuming to do that, there's a whole lot of hard work as an individual that you have to put in, right? Because it's already there. It needs to sip out.
Yeah.
But in your case, how much hard work did you have to put in to really let it out?
Yeah, I'd say like 4 years of losing contests and then getting a coach and then going overtime for 1 minute in the district contest. And then the guy who won for 3 years straight, he finally retired and coached me, and then I won. So it took a lot of time and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and speaking in different clubs all around the world. Like I spoke in an island in the Caribbean. Like I didn't even know that place existed. And I gave a workshop there just so I could learn what it's like to, you know, interact with Caribbeans, Dutch Caribbeans. So I'd say thousands and thousands. Oh my God, I should be paid more. I'm just realizing that I've dedicated probably half of my life to this. Oh my God. Toastmasters should be naming their kid Jessica. Oh my God, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. But you're ripping the benefit of those hard work. And for Kyle as well, so you talked about being very competitive, and that's what got you in the very first day. Hard work plays into that. And I suppose I'm wondering now is that how much is that then sip, is why we're using sip into your normal life, right? And how's the impounded in your normal life?
Oh, tremendously, because when you compete, it's the fastest way to improve your speaking. Because even if you're not a competitive person, you're still going to try harder than you would just in a normal speech. And therefore you level up. Yes. And as a result, that leveling up gives you the confidence and the ability to do more speaking things outside of Toastmasters. Because I think we should also be very clear on what Toastmasters is. Toastmasters is a gym for speaking, which helps you to perform in the real world. Because the Toastmasters world is a beautiful, amazing, magical place, but it's not necessarily the real world either. But go to Wonderland, learn the skills, meet incredible people, and then you will be head and shoulders above the rest in the normal world, whether that be at in your job, at conferences, or any other situation you find in life where you have to communicate. So I think it's helped me in every aspect, from having one-to-one conversations, Randy, to speaking at big conferences in front of hundreds of people.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like a gym for public speaking, right? Yeah, you're right there, because we go to the gym because we want to work out big muscle, we want to be healthy. But if you want to improve a skill like public speaking and leadership, well, Toastmaster gives you that environment for you to lift those weights. You might be doing with your voice and building your confidence, which is just great, right? It's like a la land for doing all that.
La La Land with a bench press in the middle of the field. Absolutely.
Yes. Paul, all the way from Russia. I'm assuming, did you know about Toastmaster in Russia at all? You're on mute, Paul.
Yes. I didn't know about Toastmasters. I only found out about Toastmasters, like I said, it was back in March 2021. Yeah. Up until then, I thought that was, first of all, I didn't know about its existence. But then when somebody told me about Toastmasters, I thought that was like a actual Toastmaster place where people make toasts and have breakfast and stuff like that. So, no, I didn't.
Yeah, I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and she still thinks that we do this. Anytime I mention Toastmasters, she's like, "How come you don't make really good toast at home, right?" So do you know about Toastmasters? And it's 2021.
Yes.
Right? What makes you decide? What makes you decide to just wake up and join an organization like the Toastmasters?
So that actually came through a friend of mine. Well, at the time, I didn't know him. He was a stranger, right? So at the time I was in Manchester in a pharmacy school. And I went to this networking event organized by YouTube. So I get there, and then I meet this individual called Alex. So he sticks his hand out and he says, "Hi, my name is Alex." I say, "Hi, my name is Paul." He says, "Oh, nice to meet you, Paul Donald. Tell me, what is your dream and why you're here for?" And I told him about how I want to be on TV one day. And then he said, "You know what? I need to bring you somewhere." And he said, "Toastmasters." I said, "All right, Toastmasters." In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, this dude must be out of his mind, because I'm getting stuck on my words, but he wants me to go to a public speaking club. And I used to run away from those. And then he hit me with this typical Toastmasters line. He said, "Don't you worry, I won't get you up to speak." Of course, now I know that was a proper setup, because everybody does that in Toastmasters. They promise you will never, ever get up on stage and speak. But at the time, I was quite naive. I was a pharmacy student. So I was thinking to myself, he comes across as somebody I can trust. And then that same evening, we walked down the Oxford Road on the way to this building called Friends Meeting House in Manchester. It's just one of those buildings that you never knew existed. And then we got in there, and then I see so many beautiful faces, just like yours, by the way, now. And then I felt so welcomed. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to sit right there at the front, because bear in mind, Alex promised me that I wasn't going to speak that night. So I was comfortably sat at the front, thinking I'll be the observer for tonight. And then the next thing you know, Alex happened to be the table topic master that night, and he got me up on stage. Of course, like in that Eminem song, my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's one bit on the sweater already. So I'm getting up on stage, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, and the question actually was, tell me about yourself. That was the easiest question they could have asked me, really. But I opened my mouth and I said, "Hi, my name is And I was there for about a minute and a half, getting stuck on my words. And then I probably was able to drop my name and my last name. And then when I was about to take a seat, everybody was applauding. I said, well done, Paul. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this is the first time ever, first and foremost, I got up on stage and I spoke in front of 30 to 40 people at the time. And I really liked it, because in a sense, everybody was so welcoming, and I thought to myself, this is like a structured way of getting myself up to speed. It's almost like I started comparing it to the game of basketball, because I mentioned I played as a semi-professional in Russia, and I realized there has to be a system in place for you to get better, whether you want to be a better speaker or a better basketball player or whatever you set for yourself to be. And that's how I found myself in Toastmasters, and I stuck with it because there was a system in place, and I started competing, making new friends, mentoring, being mentored, and that's why I'm here.
Wow, goodness me. What a journey. And from not being able to say a word. So I'm assuming that potentially you were a stammerer before.
Yes, and I am still, as a matter of fact. That's what pushes me to speak, really, because it's almost like back to that analogy of the gym. If I stop, even for a week or two, that voice starts to creep back in, and it sort of becomes, it starts to come back again. So I constantly have to speak nowadays. It's almost like a must in order to keep those negative thoughts away and continue pushing on through and progressing with my speech. So
wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, we should do that, because to go from there, and I like the idea of always wanting to speak now and practicing and just keeping that skill. It's like if you don't practice, you lose it, I suppose. Jessica, is that your case? If you don't practice on this skill, do you lose it?
No, because what Paul's talking about is well, it was interesting. If I can add to it, it's like there's certain reasons why people don't like speaking, and it's like if it's the negative thoughts, sometimes like it's a psychological reason why we can't do it, or it's just we're missing the techniques. And so some people take a little bit longer in one area of what they have to learn, and some people have to keep practicing this forever because it's something that goes against maybe what they learned as they were young, or it's like a real personal journey for them. It's personal development, 100%. It's very good therapy, right? You work it out on stage when you're done healing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But so for your case, it was 16. You were
No, I've done it a very, very, very long time.
extremely young. And I suppose if there are 16-year-old, they call them kids, not kids, they're grown-ups.
No.
16-year-old adults out there that are potentially thinking of joining a Toastmaster club, or wanting to go into the same career path that you take in life. What advice would you have for them?
You know, if you have these words in your head, like I lived with for 15, 20 years of my life, that are like, you're not good enough. People are going to judge you. Your ideas aren't interesting. You're ugly. You're fat. Like any of the stuff that most little girls grow up with, we don't go on stage because that just amplifies the judgment and the pain of self-dislike. You know, like this thing that social media, that Hollywood, that the church, that everyone is telling you that you should not be on stage. Who the F do you think you are? If you still feel that at whatever age you are, you don't want to die that way, because I have been there. I did a whole lot of therapy to get that out. Toastmasters plus clowning plus some shaman and some psychedelics, and it's almost all gone. But it took like 20 years. You know, like if you live with that, you must take the first step. And that first step can be Toastmasters. We know what they say. Toastmasters is the gateway drug to cocaine. Yeah, don't they say that?
Okay, maybe in Canada. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe in Canada. We don't have much to do. So
yeah. So say I have all those in my head, and I'm thinking I'm not good enough. Can I ever be a good speaker? Can I get my words out there? Can I find my voice? Yeah. How do I make that step to join a club? How do I decide within me? It's like, how does that work for you, Jessica?
I think admitting you have a problem is the first step of every good AA meeting, right? You admit that you have voices in your head that suck, and you decide that you don't want to live that way anymore. And then you go out and you seek who's going to help me? Who has had success with this? Okay, those people don't look like they have to drink to get on stage. Those people look like they have a community. Those people look like they like to compete. They don't shake anymore when they go on stage. They look like they actually like themselves. And if you hang out with a couple Toastmasters, there's no way you're not signing up. It's like 90% of my friends are Toastmasters. They're the world's best people because they faced their fears that most people, the other 10% of the world that don't show up, they face their fears, they get feedback, they have people judging them, and they do it again and again and again for years. Like, how are those not the coolest people that you want to spend time with? Like, just go to a meeting, you will be bewitched.
Absolutely. And I think it's Ralph Emerson that put it so nicely. He says, all the great speakers were bad speakers at first.
I didn't know that.
But by working on it, just what you're saying there, they've become who they are today. So I suppose it depends on wherever you are in your speaking career, you can get to where you can by going to the gym in a Toastmaster club and working out and just keep going and going at it. Totally. I'm going to come to Kate just for a little bit. Because earlier on, you talked about table topics. And it's the dreaded thing within Toastmasters. Right? Dreaded. Most Toastmasters. I dread table topics. Jeez, I'm a lot better at it now, but I used to hate table topic. But like, if we take table topics, Kate, how can practicing that help someone's career?
I think particularly for people who work in business or any kind of like, people-facing kind of role, it is absolutely the best thing. I think one of the reasons why many of us struggle with the table topics idea, the impromptu speaking at first, is it's the uncertainty of it, right? I don't know what I'm going to be asked. What if I've got nothing to say? What if my mind goes blank? All of that kind of head trash that Jessica was just talking about gets in the way. But when you think about your role, if you work in business, for example, most business professionals, unless they present as part of their job, like they're a sales professional or something like that, they maybe get to do a business presentation once every few months. It's just not enough to get good at it, to get comfortable with it, to get confident with it. Whereas when you do table topics, so any meeting that you go to, you'll have some kind of opportunity to speak, whether that's doing an impromptu speech, a prepared speech, doing another role like evaluating or being the meeting host, which is the Toastmaster. So you get all of these opportunities that all add up to experience, right, that all combines together. But I think the reason why table topics are particularly valuable is because it's actually the closest representation of what you do all day, every day in your career, right? You might not be the one presenting in a meeting, but at some point you're going to speak up. Somebody's going to turn to you and say, can you give us a 2-minute update on that project you're working on? Can you remind us of this? What's the latest on that? And, depending on what the nature of your role is, you might have certain challenges. You might have customer complaints that you deal with and things like that. So table topics and everything that Toastmasters wraps around it in terms of being compelling, engaging, persuasive, right, helps with all of these situations. And it's not just in work, it's socially as well. I've spoken to so many people over the years who were quietly comfortable in their job, didn't involve very much speaking, but in social situations, they would have a certain level of social anxiety. Right, and not necessarily be the forefront of their friendship group and really missing out and really feeling some regret around that. So what I think happens with table topics is, instead of trusting that you can predict and control what's going to happen next, right, like having confidence as in they're not going to ask me anything too awful, right, is the confidence shifts to this internal level of confidence, which is more like, whatever happens, I'll handle it, right? And there is nowhere in work or life where it's not useful to have whatever happens next, I'll handle it as your way of being. So just brilliant.
Wow, I love that. whatever happens next, I can handle it.
Yeah.
Wow. How does one develop that though? Because the reason you're talking about, the reason why some people struggle with tabletop is because there's a lot going on there, right? But how do you develop that and walk past that and be able to just handle it?
I think a lot of it, I mean, we've talked a little bit about tools and techniques and all of the good stuff that you can learn from the program and from having a great mentor, which has been mentioned a few times on this call. You know, I think the other aspect of this is thinking about it in terms of, you know, when you think about a speech, if you suddenly call it a speech, then it's this special thing and anxiety can kick in. Whereas if you see it as a conversation with your audience, we all know how to have a conversation, right? Now, when you're giving a speech, all that's happening is your side of the conversation is verbal and your audience's side is non-verbal. It's still a conversation. You're scanning your audience, you're looking for nods and ooh, and, you know, people leaning in and all of this. So there is this kind of dance, this beautiful, amazing connection that starts to happen with your audience, where there's a relationship and energy is being exchanged and you respond, you know, and it's just this beautiful experience when it's like a state of flow, right? So when you're in that sort of situation, and so your mindset is, I'm in a conversation. I know how to do conversation, right? It's just a slightly unusual conversation. That's one small example of the kind of shift in thinking that can help to normalize this, help you to acclimatize to it, help you to relax into it, and ultimately to enjoy it. You know, so it's not just about the tools and techniques, it's about how over time that story in your head shifts. And even if you walk on to a stage and you know there's 200 people in that room, 200 strangers, right, who don't know you and all of this kind of thing, you know, your thought is, there's 200 friends I haven't met yet. You know, that's what it feels like to me. 200 friends I haven't met yet. And it's just this amazing transformational experience. So it's about way, way more than tools and techniques and even practice. It's just about how the story in your head is transformed to allow you to show up as who you really are to the benefit of whoever's with you. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, that shift in your mind. Whoa. Paul, I'm just wondering now, how has that shift in your mind helped your career, and also infusing table topics into that? Is that something that your current job now benefits from?
It depends what kind of a job we're talking about here. If we're in a pharmacy setting, then it does to some extent, because we do get to interact with patients on day-to-day over the counter, dealing with different questions, etc. So it does help because at the end of the day, table topic is about you, like Kate said, it's about you having a conversation, right? So I think even me being a healthcare professional, I don't want to come across as too formal, because my goal is to connect with them and open them up so they can tell me about what is it that they are going through right now. So it's almost like when I get them into consultation room and I'm having a conversation with them. So it is, in a sense, a table topic, because I don't know what question they're going to ask me, and then I have to deal with it on spot. But then I would say in the other part of what I do now, which is speak outside of Toastmasters as well, to different organizations, etc. I think it's just having this confidence and that ability to not only answer the question, but then get to people's hearts. And the way I've been able to do that is through actually creating a bank of questions. That's something that not many people talk about, because they think, oh, when you get up on stage and all of a sudden you answer an impromptu question, that comes, I don't know, off the top of your head, which probably it does for some people. But I think just having the ability to be prepared beforehand, and like I said, you cannot predict what question they'll be asking you, but you can be as prepared as you possibly can by just taking some time to write down stories, collect stories over the course of your life. So if anybody listening here on the call, I don't know who's outside of this call listening, but I would give you a challenge to collect at least one story every week. So if you can sit down every Sunday, open up your laptop, open up Notes or Microsoft document, whatever that is, and honestly start recalling stories from life, from the day you were born up until now. And I can guarantee you can collect, let's say if you do this once a week, okay, if you do this once a week, by the end of the year, you will have 52 stories on different topics and different themes, whether it's love, challenges, failures, relationships, sports, first, whatever that is. Now, if you do it every single day, let's say if you're extreme and extremely dedicated, and you do it every single day over the course of 365 days, you have, by the end of the year, by the end of 2025, let's just presume you started on the 1st of January, you have 365 stories. Now, over the course of 5 years, if you do the maths, who's good at maths here? 1,600, whatever? No. Well, is my maths right? Something like that. Well, 300. I'm supposed to be good at maths. I'm supposed to be, okay. 365 times 5. That's okay. That's 1,600, whatever, right? Yeah. That's over the course of 5 years. Now, imagine what that is going to look like over the course of 10 years. We're talking about 3,200 stories. Now, I can guarantee you in the next 10 years, if you do that every single day, if somebody pulls you up on stage and asks you a question, it will be impossible to catch you off guard, because you will be able to relate to that question in some shape or form somehow. So that's the thing. The secret to table topics is to be prepared, because every single comedian, every single celebrity, they do have those stories prepared. And that's the key, is to be able to tell those stories and pull them out of your bank.
Wow.
And be ready.
Wow, that is fantastic. You know, that's doing a little bit every day. That's what I'm getting. A little bit every day over the course of years. When you look back, you've got a whole lot of bank to call upon to speak and to share stories with people. So we spent a lot of time on the public speaking side of Toastmaster. I know we're running a little bit, I think we're okay with time, but I'm just going to switch into the other side, which in some cases is not really too talked about. The leadership side of Toastmasters, right? There's a whole leadership development scheme within Toastmasters to help people. We talked about La La Land in Toastmasters and the real world, where those leadership skills can also sit through. And I'm going to just come to Jessica, because you've been quiet for a bit. And then ask, on a leadership front within Toastmaster, how has Toastmaster helped you? And what does Toastmaster have that could impact people's leadership career? You're on mute, Jessica. I can see your teeth smiling, eager to speak. You're on mute.
Oh, I was pressing some other circle thing that looked like a microphone. Bad job, StreamYard. Bad job, Jessica. Let the teeth do the talking, right? Okay. Yeah. My question was, Randy, there's one thing that Toastmasters do better than any other association in the world. What is it?
I'm assuming you're going to be telling me.
No, give the rest of us, right? We're clappers, right? We are extremely enthusiastic. Every role that you volunteer for, you will never feel like you failed, because we always reframe it with a little NLP, like, oh, you learned something there. Wow. And they give you a ribbon. Even if you totally messed up, we will applaud you and we will support your growth. And that's the thing. Your speeches suck when you start. Your leadership probably isn't very good, but with time, everything gets better or worse as you age. I'm not sure on that theory, but it is all about leadership, because there's no paid people. It's like all those wonderful people welcome you, all those people that brought name tags, all those people speaking, everyone's a volunteer. So there's total leadership in whatever you want to develop. If you're an introvert and you want to learn how to talk to strangers, well, you can be the one that greets people. That's leadership in itself, right? So you get to choose your own path. And our thing is called Pathways, ironically. But.
Absolutely. So how did that help you, though, in your leadership life today? Is there tangible things that you can draw on and link with Toastmasters? Say, you know what? I'm a better leader today because of Toastmasters?
I think a good leader needs to know how to be brave and to say what needs to be said. And so I was able to practice that and like get tons of feedback and go, ooh, that was not the way I want to say it. Ooh, that was arrogant. Oh my God, how did I say that? That joke didn't work. And so for me, I'm like an advocate for women's rights. And so as that, like a leader of a movement, I need to like be ahead of women, and women are going to be judging me. So now I'm not afraid of any kind of feedback because I have literally heard it all since I've been 16. So I think as a leader in my chosen career and my passion,
Yes.
getting the feedback and being unable to be stopped is because I did 20 years of it, right?
Yes.
So I chose my path. Other people don't want to become leaders, perhaps, but they want to become more extroverted, more confident, more organized, more team player. So they can all just choose what they want to learn.
Absolutely. There is something there for everyone, and you take what's there for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Kyle, I know, coming back to your competing side and the work that you do today, how would you say the leadership lessons within Toastmasters impacted your career?
Yeah, firstly, at 1,825. That's how many speeches or stories you get in 5 years, Paul. I did not use a calculator. Okay, so in terms of the leadership side of things, I think that the special thing about Toastmasters, when you get into the committee, it's almost like running a business without the financial risk. Because you've got to figure out how you're going to get more members on board. You've got to figure out how you're going to keep the members who are there happy. If you're the president, you've got to figure out how you're going to keep your committee happy and not fighting with each other. So it's almost like an opportunity to run a business. And for me, I have been the vice president of membership for about 3 years in our club because no one else wants the job. And that has helped me tremendously in terms of selling. I've learned how to sell Toastmasters. And as a result, I've learned how to sell my business better and how to really share the benefits and connect with people who might be interested in the service. So I think sales is the biggest way it's helped me, Randy.
Absolutely. That's great. I love that vice president membership. Nobody wants it, you can keep it. Right.
Mine for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Kate, I'm assuming you've done some leadership roles within Toastmasters.
I have indeed. Yeah, I have. But, I think one of the things I would just say, if I could build on what Jessica and Kyle have both shared, is leadership is different for different people, right? So I think one of the things I was certainly guilty of when I joined Toastmasters and I saw that original brilliant strapline of, Toastmasters, where leaders are made. And I thought, yeah, baby, yeah. Right. There's a brilliant strapline, but I had a very limited idea of leader, like lots of people following and working for you and with you and all of that kind of thing. And I was, whatever at that point, 15 years into the now 25 years of running my business, and it's always been me. And I don't want to grow my business in the sense of having lots of people working for me. It's just not what I want. It's not my model. So for me, the leadership that Toastmasters has helped me with the most is actually what gets labeled as thought leadership, right? It's developing ideas and thinking and leading edge concepts or fresh ways, fresh perspectives on, timeless universal opportunities and challenges. So there are certain things that, get quoted back from me time and time again. If people hear me speak or if they've read the book or whatever it might be, that started out as a Toastmasters speech. It was just an idea that I was trying out in the same way that Jessica tries out jokes and humor, right? It was just an idea. Let's see how this lands. Does this make sense to people? I gave a speech many years ago now at Toastmasters, which was given at New Year. It was all about New Year's resolutions, but the title of the speech was, "Has Your Goal Got Soul?" Right? That ended up being a chunk of my book, right? So that's what we would call thought leadership. I wouldn't want anybody to not come along to Toastmasters because they think you've got to have this aspiration to run your own business or to have loads of people working for you or big seniority or anything like that. Leadership comes in many, many forms. And whichever aspect of this you're interested in, Toastmasters will help you to develop.
Absolutely. I love the idea of thought leadership. Yeah, it's not just a traditional leadership, but there's something for people as well too. Thanks, Kate. I'm just going to come to Paul on that same question on leadership. All right. How has Toastmasters impacted you from a leadership perspective? Add anything else to Kate, or Kate mentioned there?
Yeah, I would probably say leadership. Well, how I define leadership, anyways, it's ability. I know some people like to connect it to other people, but to me, leadership is the ability to lead yourself first. And I think when you lead yourself, then others sort of look up to you, and then they try to either get up to your standard or they disappear, in a sense. But anyways, and to me, the best example of leadership that I can think of is from the game of basketball, Michael Jordan. He's actually the reason why I got into basketball in the first place. Growing up in Russia, like I mentioned, at the age of 10, I was, I grew up in a small town. So I was struggling to find myself and my voice. And at the time, I was looking for a sports section, essentially that can give me that confidence, because I was quite big. I was 1 foot taller than everybody else, stronger, but I didn't quite fit in. And basketball was that one place where I felt like I really belonged to. And it wasn't up until I saw the poster of Michael Jordan when I was about 10 years old that really inspired me to start playing the game of basketball, because I saw this gigantic man on the poster who was doing the most aerobatic move in the air, and he was so bold and unapologetic about his being. And when I saw that poster, I thought to myself, wow, if I can be a fraction of that man, have that confidence and that ability to just rip it apart and just go for it, right? And that's how I started playing the game of basketball. And that's when I bought my first basketball at the age of 10. And 8 years later, I became a semi-professional basketball player. But what made Michael Jordan, But what made Michael Jordan, I think, is first and foremost his ability to lead himself. Meaning, he would wake up, he would be the first person in the gym, the last person out of that gym, right? He will be playing with flu, without flu. He single-handedly destroyed Utah Jazz. I don't know if you any basketball fans in here, but back in 90s, he won 6 championships. 6. And I think his 5th or 6th championship. He was playing game 6 with the flu. He led himself. He said, you know what? I have a flu, but I don't care because I have to lead myself. And because he was leading himself, others got inspired and started leading themselves too.
And Paul, I think that's a great ingredient for Toastmasters as well, to the ability to be able to lead yourself. And it looks like we're drawing close. So I'm just going to come back with a quick round robin to the group for like 30 seconds each. Kate, if you can distill the art of public speaking to one main ingredient, what would that be? And how would someone watching today apply it?
I think I would say it helps you to see the ways that you have perhaps twisted yourself like a pretzel to be what society wants you to be, the education system, etc. Strip all of that back and step out of that relentless race and just experience an absolutely amazing adventure. It is, we've used the word journey a lot on this call tonight, and it is the right thing. It's just an incredible adventure that adds to and amplifies the experience and adventure in your life as a whole. And I wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody who's not already taking part.
Wow, thank you, Kate. Cal, if you would distill it to just one ingredient, what would that be, and how can someone apply it today? Just one thing they can apply today.
Public speaking gives you the confidence to become more. Whatever that is for you. more of whatever you want to be in life, because you can always grow, you can always develop, you can always evolve. And if you have the confidence through public speaking to communicate that vision to other people and to yourself, it's going to help you get there even quicker.
Wow. Beautiful. Paul, if you can distill it down to one key ingredient, what would that be? And how can someone apply that today?
I would say public speaking can help you, or Toastmasters can help you find your voice and get to people's hearts. And if you can do that, you can truly get whatever you want in your career, in your personal life. You can start a war, you can end a war. There's literally wars have been made with a word. And that's why it's so important to be able to master that skill, and to be able to not only find your voice, but then also help others find theirs.
Wow, thanks, Paul. Jessica, I'm going to come to you.
Can't you give me another question? I think they answered it very well.
Yeah. Well, what would be yours? They've answered 3 different things.
Yeah.
What would you give someone today to take? They can apply in their career this moment. They can help.
It just sucks so much to think that nobody wants to listen to your ideas. It's such a terrible feeling that, like, all my therapy clients have experienced, and almost every woman I've ever met. I don't talk to enough men to know if it's a thing that happens to all men. But if you can speak in public, you have faced so much self-doubt, so much self-rejection, so much like human fear of being mobbed and like strung up to be killed because you're speaking out and you're stepping up and you're being seen. Like, humans run away from that because that's how you get burned at the stake or crucified for saying things that other people don't say. And once you can do that, you can do like anything. Like Kyle says, you can be the best that you can be. You can start a war if that's like on your to-do list. And it's something super beautiful. So combine all of those together. I think you should join.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's just a good way to end. I want to thank the 4 of you for taking the time out today just to share a bit about yourself with us and learn about your fantastic journey from finding your own voice and creating confidence and not starting wars, right? There's a lot for everybody. So thank you so much for sharing that. And earlier on, I started off with a quote from Ralph Emerson, which says, all the great speakers were once bad speakers, right? And from what you've learned today, hopefully you can see that the power of repetition can help you become whoever you want to become. So thank you for joining us today. This has been episode 8 of Toastmasters Unplugged. Keep an eye out on the socials for the next episodes. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you.